Unmute, oh, you got it?
I got it. It's close enough for me to reach it this morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals for this Monday, October 30th. And we'll begin with Ms. Kukla reading the preamble.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals.
Good morning.
And I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, this October 30th, 2023. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meetings will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that calling users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We've provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on our particular case via our website and email. Our requests to speak on our particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Will you call the roll, please?
Sure thing. Ms. Roca,
Present.
Ms. Holzer,
Present.
Ms. Brown, Ms. Wilson, I believe is absent today,
It's not very loud.
and Ms. Faith.
I am here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum with 4 members. So we should announce that with the 4 members being present, the appellants run the risk of a tied vote. And if you receive a tied vote, the variance is denied and the decision on building and housing will remain. So the applicants can request a postponement in order to allow time for us to bring you back when we have a full complement of board members. So let us know if you would like a postponement at this time. If hearing none, we can go forward to postponements and withdrawal.
He raised his hand.
Oh, did you raise your hand to request a postponement?
No, I wasn't sure whether you was talking to somebody on the computer or me.
Oh, okay, we're, yeah, a little bit of both. We're doing both.
No, we're not asking for a postponement.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anyone online? All right, we'll proceed then.
Okay, Madam Chair, we did receive a request for a postponement. That's on calendar 23-167 at 3800 Valley Avenue. That's PB Express requesting to erect a new office and service building and to establish use as a shipping container and transfer storage yard. The council person has requested a postponement to allow time for further review.
All right. Did she indicate how much time she'd like?
No, Madam Chair, she did not.
All right.
Good. So our next hearing that we're scheduling is the 20th of November. If you would like to push it to the 27th, we will not have 5 members on that date though. And
Early December?
we can do the first week in December,
Yeah.
Monday, the December 4th.
All right.
Okay. So calendar number 23-167 is postponed to Monday, December 4th. And if you received a paper copy in the mail, we'll send you another paper copy out. Did I hear somebody on the line wishing to speak, Madam Chair?
I thought I heard something.
Liz, it was me. I
Okay,
was just
me.
making a note that I'll be out on November 13th, not November 27th. In
Okay.
case I was the person who is leading to there not being 5 board members.
Oh,
Okay.
Madam Chair, if we could put them on the 27th, that would be best.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Holzer. We'll move that back to November 27th then.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair, that does it for withdrawals and postponements.
Awesome. Okay, anything we have to bundle? Well, it doesn't look like it. Any council people present?
I do not see anybody at the moment.
All right. So, Ms. Holzer, we'll begin with calendar number 23-170.
Sure thing. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Our first case is calendar number 23-170. This is at 2035 West 18th Street. Pradeep Giri and Camila Negret propose to erect a 1.5-story frame workout room with open second floor deck addition attached to an existing single-family residence in a B1 family residential district. The owners appeal for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown, Mr. Oka, Ms. Brown for the oath.
Good morning.
We need a little more volume, please, Ms. Brown.
All right, let's try that. Just a minute. Okay, is this better?
Little bit, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Just
what's
proceed
going on.
accordingly.
Okay, well,
There you
I'm
go.
swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, reply, I do, state your name and your address, please.
I do. Wesley Harper, 812 Huron Road East, Cleveland, 44115. And then we also have the owners, Camilla and Pradeep.
Please state your name and your address, please, and say I do.
Sure, I do. This is Pradeep Giri at 2035 West 18th Street in Cleveland, 44113.
I do. Camila Negret, 2035 West 18th, Cleveland, Ohio, 44113.
Anyone else for this matter? Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. History of the property?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929, and then in 1949, it was changed to 2-family residential. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1980, a permit was issued to demolish a single-family residence. Then we have one calendar number online and, in our office at BZA 19-193, and that was in 2019. This board granted a variance to erect a 3-story single-family residence with an attached garage. There were no conditions placed on that variance, Madam Chair, and that was effective October 21st, 2019. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Okay, so that's when we heard the case, October 21st.
Yes, to erect a 3-story dwelling.
And what was 1949?
1949 was the zoning change to 2-family.
Okay. Okay, history of the legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area and the required rear yard requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Great, thank you. Mr. Harper, are you, we haven't seen you in a while, so good to see you. Are you going to be the spokesperson for the project?
I am. Thank you. Good to see you too.
Okay, so go ahead, tell us what you want to do.
Okay. So back in 2019, as Ms. Kukla mentioned, there was a zoning variance for a new 3-story single-family house. We worked with Pradeep and Camilla to design that house. Obviously, it was erected, and so essentially what we're looking to do now in 2023 is add a relatively small addition to the rear of the home for a workout room. In the image that was up a couple minutes ago of the rear of the property, you could see where the addition would go three-dimensionally, I suppose. At the bottom left, you can see where the basketball hoop is. The new addition would kind of sit in that nook between the white portion of the building and the gray portion of the building. The addition would be a one-story addition, so it essentially align with the top of the parapet above the garage. We would be cladding it in the same material as the gray that you see there. So we think it would kind of disappear in many ways. There would be a couple windows in the space, and it would really only be visible from the garage access alley, which is off of West 17th Street. So from West 18th Street, there would be no visible change to the home. And so, as is typical with many of the projects that come in this area of Duck Island and the near west side in general, the area variance was kicked into required variance as it was with the original house. So we're really just looking to add to that footprint so they can have a little more usable space. And since it's not visible from the street, I feel like it's a relatively reasonable request. And so the setback that is mentioned as 1 foot is matching the same setback as the garage that's back there right now. The setback to the north remains somewhat substantial with a kind of grass area to the north. So due to all of these variables, we thought it was a reasonable request to come in front of you. And unless Pradeep and Camilla have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to field any questions from the board. Thank you.
Okay, great. To the homeowners, do you have anything else to add that Mr. Harper didn't cover?
No, not on our end. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
we have a noisy child in the background, so apologies.
So far can't hear it, so that's good. Mr. Harper, the cladding, what did you use to clad what cladding material do you have on the garage that you plan to add to the extension? Is it hardy board?
No, it's vinyl, but it would be a matching gray. So you'd kind of lose that corner detail that you see there, and it would just there'd be a line there, a break, but it would just continue that same cladding.
And how's that going to impact the scupper and the downspout?
We would reroute that to the other side, the north face of the building, or dump it onto the new garage. We're still working with the general contractor on the best way to do that, but we will have to move that boot that goes into the driveway that you see there at the base.
Right. Okay. All right, so we granted the setback variance for the 1 foot when we did the previous variance in 2019, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so, okay. City planning?
Maurice Rowland, City Planning. Yeah, pretty much for all the same reasons that Mr. Harper stated, we would support this this variance. The 1 foot off of the 1 foot for the required rear yard, is consistent with what's already there. The rear yards are often required for fire access so that the fire department can come on if there's a fire. This house backs right up to a private drive, so accessing the rear of the house in case of a fire is not a problem. So it doesn't impede that. There is a significant area to the north. So there's no side yard variances coming in here. It's a relatively small addition. I agree it won't be seen from the street. I don't think it overloads the site, so we would recommend approval.
Great, thank you. Is the exercise area going to be for personal use only?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so we're not going to be bringing in people for any yoga classes or anything like that? Okay, great. All right, any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve calendar number 23-170 based on the testimony that we've heard today from appellant's architect and the city as well.
Could I have a second, please?
Board Member Holzer, I second.
Thank you, great. Ms. Kukla?
Sure. Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Holzer,
Yes.
Ms. Roca,
Yes.
Ms. Bailey.
Yes.
Calendar number 23-170, is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday, and we will send you a letter. Also, please feel free to contact our office on Wednesday of next week to determine if it's ready to go to the next step. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck with the project.
Thanks so
Have a good
much.
day.
Have a nice week.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, Ms. Holzer, moving on to number 2, 23-171.
Our next case is calendar number 23-171. This is at 836 Broadway Avenue. McElwee Properties owner proposes to build a parking lot in a B4 general industry district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2, with a note that a lot consolidation is required. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? If you do, please raise your hand. Reply, I do. State your name and your address, please.
I do. William A. Fline. It's 836 Broadway Avenue.
William, can you spell your last name for us, please?
Sure. O-E-F-L-E-I-N.
Great, thank you. We have a court reporter. She's not present with us. She's virtual, but she needs to make sure that she can capture all your information correctly. Thank you. Okay. History of the property?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1930, a permit was issued to install a bake oven and chimney. In 1939, a permit was issued to demolish a store and dwelling. 1944, a permit was issued to erect an addition for storage of live poultry. And in 1946, a permit was issued to add a killing room, quote, unquote. In 1961, there was a permit issued to erect a planter box in front of the poultry store. And in 1969, there was an addition of store and office. And Madam Chair, that is all that we have. There are no variances on file and nothing of note in the more recent history. Thank you.
Thank you. Interesting information about the chicken. Legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting area variances from the driveway and landscape strip requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay. William, are you going to be the spokesperson then for your project, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay, tell us what you want to do.
Well, my client has vacated the building a few years back, And it doesn't look too good. It's pretty much an eyesore. And he came to me with the thought of a parking lot, and it's real close to the Guardians. And there's 2 parcels next to them that have gravel, and their parking. It's the Guardians use it for parking, their employees. And then there's a nice sidewalk right into the Progressive Field. So anyways, he asked me to do a layout for parking. I told him, I looked at the zoning code for parking, and it definitely said it needs to be asphalt, like a standard parking lot. And but he has a very limited budget, and so based on the fact that his neighbors have gravel, we thought we would just ask you guys if that's possible, and then he could afford to take down the building and install a gravel parking lot, and he could do landscaping and stuff. But I understand, that's not, well, it's not allowed. So that's why we're trying to what's the possibility of getting a variance. But then since then I've learned that the planning commission hasn't really given any, allowed gravel, and I think forever. So I realize it's a long shot, and that the only reason I'm just wondering what your thoughts are from a city standpoint. To have it, for me, it'd be better to have a gravel parking lot like the neighboring properties in lieu of the existing, dilapidated, vacant building that's just kind of an eyesore. I don't know. I guess that's it.
Okay. Maurice, can you show us the photos you have?
Yes, let me go back to them.
I pulled it up too. Here,
Okay.
it's right here. That's this
Okay.
building here. And there's that empty parking lot. There's the post office,
Oh, yeah, okay.
the highway.
Okay. Do we know who owns those gravel lots?
Yes, so Madam Chair, I spoke with Assistant Director Margaret Fields this morning. She is handling the design review cases that come up in this area, which this would fall under. It is her impression that the adjacent parking lot is owned by the state. And as you know, the state does not need to abide by our zoning regulations. So I do not believe, but I can't speak 100% on this, whether they ever came in for a permit. I don't know how that gravel lot got there. I don't know if they demoed a building, left it vacant, and then started using it. I don't know. I don't think we would have ever approved a gravel lot. I've been doing this for what, 6-7 years, and we just don't approve gravel
Right,
lots, especially in the
exactly.
town. So that might be how that lot is gravel. It's
I'm
owned by the
wondering-
state, and we have no control over the state.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that lot wasn't used for like construction at some point.
It could have
yeah.
been that too.
So, William, here's the situation. You just heard city planning speak to the status of the gravel lot, because that's
Okay.
something that we just typically never allow. So the fact that that property, that parcel is owned by the state, sort of puts a different spin on that particular parcel. So with regard to your parcel, you are correct. It typically, we never approve, particularly for this, your intended purpose. So event parking, we wouldn't approve gravel as the only covering. So it would need to be drained and covered with asphalt.
Okay.
Because I'm guessing you're gonna want to stripe that if you're gonna be doing event parking so that you have a structured number of parking spaces so you can make sure you meet your capacity. So I'll go to the board. Do you have any questions or comments, board?
I'll just make a comment that, you know, the board appreciates that you're, you know, that's an expense to your client. But I don't know that it meets the legal standard of practical difficulty, just that it's more expensive. That's the reason the zoning code is in place. And, you know, quite frankly, your client will probably do quite well with a parking lot that's paved and asphalt eventually, given the location of all the amenities right there. Further to the point of the second variance for landscaping, that's something that I think that the board would like to see as well. I mean, given there's a pedestrian trail right in front of that building. There are many downtown amenities. I know the city has many future plans for greening and changing locations near to this parcel. So I would just encourage your client to think about those things as he or she develops their future plans for this property, knowing that, you know, the zoning will be important for that parcel.
So thank you, Ms. Roca. So I think Ms. Roca touches on an important spot that, you know, this is in a prime sort of area for not only the Guardians and the arena, and it is likely that you might be able to have a very profitable operation there. So, so in any case, you and your client will need to address what your plans are for going forward. Now that you have the variances that you would need in mind, you can use that for part of your planning.
Right.
And-
I
yes.
just wanted to add that the concept of putting a parking lot in this area is fine.
Right.
We don't object to the idea of putting a code compliant parking lot in this area at all. I just wanted to make that clear because it's not a use issue. It's that it needs to meet code. That's all it is.
Exactly, right. Okay, William. So,
Okay.
would you like to withdraw the case?
Just one question, well, two. One I did come across a product with gravel that they're like little plastic colored pegs that stick into the gravel like a little spike. That's how they stripe a gravel. But I know that doesn't really matter for this, but and then the second thing is, have you ever granted like a temporary variance where my client could, you know, spend the couple $100,000 to knock down the building, and then he could do a temporary gravel lot, you know, and then get some revenue coming in, and then say that expires, and then he would have to pave it, you know, do the drainage and everything. Is that ever been an option?
Thoughts on that?
I think could we ask Mr. Riccardi?
Yeah, I think that would be a good.
Yeah. Mr. Riccardi, do you want to weigh in on that?
I mean, if the question is that an option, if that's what he's asking for?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an option. A variance would still be required.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't mean you wouldn't also need a variance.
Correct, right. But if we granted a variance on a temporary basis, so he could do gravel for a limited period of time, Is that acceptable?
Madam
I mean,
Chair, I
that's-
don't think he can negotiate this right now, and then he should, come back and talk to staff.
Madam
Right, I
Chair,
mean, that would still be a violation of the zoning code, so the variance would still
Right.
be required.
Right. Okay,
just one.
city planning has a comment.
Just a comment, this project does need to go before the design review committee before it can get approved. You know, it needs to get a demolition permit to take the building down. That would need to be approved by the design review committee. He had expressed that he couldn't afford to do the lot as a paved lot, and that's why he wanted to come here first before he went to the design review committee to see if that would happen. But considering that he may now want to try to do it as a temporary lot, I think maybe it should be postponed and go to the design review committee and get their input as to how they feel about the idea of having a gravel lot for a certain amount of time.
Right, I think that's an excellent
Plus,
idea.
it would cause more dialogue with the staff and with the applicant.
Right, I think
And
that,
regardless that a variance for a temporary lot is not before us, so we can't rule
Right.
on.
exactly,
Right.
right,
Madam Chair.
Good point.
yes.
On that note, just for clarification, Mr. Riccardi, is there a code section that allows for parking temporary? I vaguely remember that there is a code section that does allow temporary parking, gravel parking. But correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Riccardi, but I think that would be needed for him to reapply and have that added to the notice of non-compliance.
Yes.
Right.
That's correct. I mean, I don't know about the code section part. Mr. McCarty can weigh in on that, but I'm 100% confident we can't issue a ruling on something that's not before us.
Right, exactly,
So-
right. But I think you're correct.
Yeah.
I'm remembering that we've had at least one occasion.
Cleveland Clinic parking lot.
Yeah, yes, the Cleveland Clinic parking lot.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
believe there was another code section. If Mr.
Yeah.
Riccardi can just, for the record, let us know if that's right.
Right, is that correct, Mr. Riccardi?
There are code sections that deal with temporary uses, so a new application would be required.
Okay, all right. So,
And Madam Chair, like what you're talking about, the Cleveland Clinic lot, for example, that was approved, that was a temporary lot, and that was a temporary construction lot.
right,
So it was a very specific finite set of time
Right.
that they needed it for construction staging and for the employees that would be working as part of the construction of the building. And that is generally the only way that we have approved a temporary.
right, I'm remembering another one, but I don't think it went through us. I don't think it was necessarily
Potentially, right,
legal.
right, okay.
So,
But
yeah.
yeah, so generally that's what we're looking for, is a very finite, specific event, for example, constructing a new building,
Right,
something like that.
so, you're thinking, let's postpone, take it to design review?
I think that might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, Liz?
So, Madam Chair, are we thinking 60 days a minimum, or you want to cut it back to 30?
Yeah,
Wanna
the
give
longer
him
the
a
better. Let's give him a chance to get.
Madam
'cause-
Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So when it comes back, it's gonna be a different request. Is that a postponement or should it come back as a new application?
Yeah, good question. What do you think?
I think it would be a withdrawal of this application, a reapplying for a new variance, and then we hear it anew. Because we're not postponing this variance, these variances are going away. They're not gonna be relevant.
Because he's gonna come
point.
before us for the
Yes.
variance to do the temporary gravel.
That is correct.
All right, okay, so that's what we're gonna have to do.
Okay.
I support
So-
that.
Pardon?
I
You said you-
support that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Brown. All right.
So yeah, withdrawal of this.
Yeah, so we're gonna ask you to withdraw this, sir? 'Cause
Okay.
we don't, okay?
Well,
Yeah.
he has the option.
Yeah, you have the option, but
No, I understand.
we're suggesting that that's what you do.
Okay,
And then you'll reapply for
temporary.
the temporary use of the gravel.
And go to
Sure.
design review first?
Correct, yeah, you're gonna wanna
Okay.
go through the steps with city planning before you come back to us.
But it sounds like I heard, it's still gonna be pretty much a long shot because it sounds like you guys have just approved or granted variances for, the temporary, for construction,
Right,
not for
so,
like a, profitable, parking lot.
yeah, this would be short term for you
Right,
If it were approved, I mean.
if
we
it
would-
were approved.
We would have to look at the facts and circumstances of the new case. We wouldn't issue any type of, rendering or identify how we might rule right now.
right, okay. Okay,
So what would you
Right.
like to do?
I'll withdraw this case.
Okay. So calendar number 23-171 is withdrawn at the request of the appellant. Okay, All
Okay,
right,
thank you for your
so-
time.
yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, so you're clear on next steps for you, right?
Yeah,
Okay, great. We're gonna proceed then.
all right, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Holzer, calendar number 23-176.
Sure thing. And I think this is our last case for the day.
Okay.
Our next and last case is calendar number 23-176. This is at 13922 Tyler Avenue. Ronald Stokes proposes to install an 8-foot tall fence in an A1 one-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there is one. And with that, I will hand it over to Ms. Brown for the oath.
Thank you. I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? If you do so, please raise your hand, reply I do, state your name and your address.
I do. My name is Ronald E. Stokes. My address is 13922 Tyler Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44111.
My name is Antoinette Stokes. My address is 13922 Tyler Avenue. What else?
You have to say I do.
Oh, I do. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, I think that's it.
Anyone
Ms. Brown.
else?
Thanks.
Okay.
Ms. Kukla?
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. In our Records Administration Office, we found that in 1925, a permit was issued to erect a dwelling. And in 1959, a permit was issued to demolish and erect a private garage. There are no variances on the file and nothing of note in more recent. I have to apologize, Madam Chair. We do see that in July of this year, there was a violation notice issued. However, I wasn't able to pull any details off of that. So it's.
We don't know the nature of that?
No, I wasn't able to get that information.
Okay. All right, legal standard, please.
Madam Chair, members of the board, appellant is requesting an area variance from the fencing requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning.
Great, thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Stokes, you gonna speak or is Antoinette?
Well, you may also want to speak, but yes, I'm going to speak.
Okay, tell us what you'd like to do.
I'm here requesting that you allow my wife and I to erect a 8-foot fence instead of a 6-foot fence for various reasons. our neighbor that is adjoined with our property. My wife and I bought our home 3 years ago, and I had to wait until I was 72 years old to buy a home for my wife and I. And our neighbors immediately ran over to the property line and greeted us. We thought they were the greatest neighbors you could ever want. And I didn't figure out until later why they did that. Well, the 92-year-old lady that previously owned the property, her husband died right there in the front yard, and the neighbors, they moved into their property 5 years prior to us moving into ours. And I have some pictures that I would like to show the board so that you can actually see for yourself what my situation is. The neighbors let the trees grow to the point.
I think it's upside down.
Yeah, it's upside down.
To the point where they actually were laying over half of the width of our roof. And for 5 years, you're gonna have to let them look at that.
Yeah, just flip it over, yeah. Would we be able to keep these since the board is using these to make their decision today?
Maybe let them on the call.
Yes, I'll get you pictures.
Okay, so.
Here's the paperwork, so it describes each picture because I have them labeled.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
here.
Okay.
It's-
Okay,
All right, hang on. Let me get my coffee out of the splash
yeah,
zone.
so, all right.
There.
We're sorry to the board members on the call who, I don't know how we're gonna get you to be able
I
to
can
see
hold it up
this.
once we've seen it to the
Okay.
camera, so maybe she'll be able to see it.
All right, so if you wanna,
So number one is a camera in the neighbor's tree pointing towards your house.
Yes, that camera is approximately 8 feet from our front porch and our front door and our front living room window.
And possibly has audio.
and possibly has audio.
I'm sure it does.
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm sure it does have audio. We also discovered a listening device that this individual had placed on the back of his garage right by our front porch. And once we discovered it and he could hear us discussing it from that camera, I'm sure he came out there and removed that, but he left the camera. So anyway, the trees are laying on top of the poor old lady's house for 5 years. He took advantage of her because she was old. We moved into our property and we spoke to them and we asked them would they remove the trees that were actually laying on top of our roof, at least half the width of the top of our house.
Are these the ones we see in picture number 4 then?
So
That are
those-
laying on the house?
They're here.
Oh, they're laying on there. All right.
Okay.
And
Okay.
they played cat and mouse with us for a year. And at that time, I
Okay.
The lawyer. They don't see this.
Okay. These are just explain the pictures.
Correct.
Ms. Holzer, can you see the picture, the board that I'm holding up? Is it, okay.
At that time, I contacted my attorney because the trees were causing the roof not to be able to dry out naturally because of the moisture and the shade from the tree. And it was also causing underlying damage to our roof underneath the shingles because the moisture never had a chance to evaporate. And so we were very patient with these individuals. And then finally, we contacted our attorney and had our attorney send a letter to these individuals asking them to remove the trees. And also telling them that we would be willing to sue them if they did not do so. At that point, they totally disregarded this letter from our attorney. And 2 days later, the camera that you see in that tree, he came out there and installed the camera and pointed it right at our front door. So every time we opened our door, he was looking at our house. He was looking in our living room windows, and we couldn't even sit on our porch because our privacy was being invaded on a very large level. I had to put up a piece of cardboard on our front porch just so that my wife and I could sit on our porch without being watched 24 hours a day.
I'd like to iterate. Prior to us requesting that they cut their trees down, we were told by the missus, I believe, to not do that because of some kind of
It was the wrong time of the year.
to cut the trees down. So we went further and had a few tree companies come out and verify that. And we also learned that that wasn't true. So our lawyer wrote up this letter and sent it to them.
Let's give
And
that to Ms. Cooper.
Right after that
okay?
is when the camera appeared.
So the camera on the tree wasn't until they received the letter
That is correct.
from your attorney.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
I feel that it was done out of revenge and anger.
Correct.
Okay, did you bring anything from the tree companies?
That I did not bring, but I do have a police report that I filed.
All right, so you have a police report as well, so that can go to Ms. Kukla.
Yes,
Um,
thank you.
And
And
you can
It
can
speaks-
submit
sorry.
those, did you get estimates or statements from the arborist?
well, yes, but I'm sorry, that police report also will mention the trees and also the camera.
Okay,
Yes, I did have estimates done, but I didn't think I needed to bring that. I thought that I would take that when I go to small claims court because I had to
End up having.
I had to, pay out of my pocket to have their trees trimmed because they refused to do it.
okay.
And we waited a long time.
Let me ask you this, have you had your lot professionally surveyed and pinned?
Yes.
You
When
have,
when we purchased our home.
okay,
And I'd like to say that, as I stated, our privacy, my wife and I have been held hostage for 2.5 years because in the beginning, he pointed it at our front door and our front living room window and our porch. For 2.5 years, we have not been able to, well, 2 years actually, we haven't been able to open our curtains in our front living room or go out in and out of our door without knowing that they're looking right inside of our house. And we couldn't open our Venetian blinds because that would allow them to just watch us at random 24 hours a day. So when I put up the cardboard petition so that my wife and I could sit on our own front porch, they moved the angle of the camera to our dining room window and our kitchen window. So now we can't open our dining room curtains or blinds or the kitchen blinds because we feel uncomfortable. Like we're being I don't know what's. It's just terrible. So for
Yeah.
2.5 years, they have held my wife and I hostage where we cannot even enjoy our own home.
Now, I will add, the neighbor did politely
Thank you.
add 2 pieces of fence in his own yard for privacy, but he has it where he can still come through to look over in our yard.
all right,
And here it is right here. This is his
That's when
garage
he
and this is
sneaks
his little
from
piece of
around
fence.
that corner
Yep.
and he looks right into, tries to look into our dining room window and our kitchen window.
Yep.
And now he took privacy away from us on a very large scale. We can't enjoy a home, but he had the audacity to put a fence up because he wanted his privacy.
And there
So
are
is the
pieces
chain
of
link fence yours or
It's
is it?
his, and
It's
he
his.
has a lock on it.
All right.
But I'd like to say from even over here on his garage, see, our dining room window faces the back of that garage, okay? And it's very unsecure at night. And we're not secure with that when we sleep at night. We're afraid somebody might try to come in that window because it's so isolated. And so from over here to the end of their garage, all the way, where's that other?
Over here.
No, where's the picture?
Okay.
I guess so, yeah. To the very back of our yard, there's nothing but the back of a garage. That's all it is, and some high bush. And we're asking for the 8-foot fence so that we can stop these individuals from interfering.
Yeah.
Down there's the fence.
Yeah.
You can see the garage.
I must see the back of it. So is this is number 9?
What's number 9?
Only garages
Six.
show the end of, so is this your, what's this? This is his property?
No,
That's the house next door to him.
That's
Oh.
the house next door, but it's just the back of their garage. The picture to the right on the end, that's the end of our property lines. That's 3-car garage attached right next to the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And
then this picture here, this is between your house and,
their house would be to the right,
okay.
where those tall bushes are.
Yeah, the arborvitae.
Right. I took that picture to show you how those trees are laying on top of our home.
Yeah.
And could you turn it my way a minute? Beginning at the top, those 3 pictures at the top, and beginning over here, this is the beginning of his garage towards the front of our house. All the way across, as you can see, there's nothing there.
Uh-huh.
And when my wife and I try to entertain our company or family, this individual is back there watching everything that we do. I
But
mean,
he's making like he's doing yard
he's
work.
actually standing there watching what we do. I've had people come over there to do work for my wife and I, and he comes out there and harasses them, telling them not to touch his property. I mean, this individual, he is a problem. Now, I am a honorably discharged, disabled, service-connected Vietnam veteran, and I have issues with post-traumatic stress syndrome. This gentleman here has pushed me to my limit, and I'm very angry at him. My wife has had to stop me on numerous occasions from doing something that I want to do to him for what he has done to us, to turn our life upside down unnecessarily. And I'm asking for the board to help my wife and I in our dilemma, because I do not want to lose control of myself. And I have many reasons to do so. But, I'm a man of God, and I pray about the situation. And I've been over backwards to restrain myself, because I can become very aggressive to the point of explosive, and I don't want this situation to take me there.
All right.
That's why I'm here asking for your help
All right.
to
Thank you.
eliminate this situation.
Thank you, Mr. Stokes. Do we have a plan view for the proposed fence?
Kind of. I would also like to ask, the applicants here, are Micah and Tanera Hutz the neighbors that you're
Yes,
talking about?
they are.
Okay, so we did get a letter from them.
Okay,
And they basically say that where the 8-foot, let me go, a property's on the west side of 13922 Tyler Avenue, where the 8-foot fence is proposed to be built. We have no objection to the fence being built under 2 conditions. The fence goes the entire length of the property, of the west side of the property, and also that the fence graduates down so it doesn't block our view of pedestrian and street traffic to our driveway that faces Tyler. From what I understand of their site plan, that's not an issue because they're only proposing the 8-foot fence. And you can see from the site plan here, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like you're gonna have 8-foot fence that would line up with the front of your building, of your house.
Yes,
And then go all the way to the back,
yes, yes.
right? That's where you
But-
want
That
to
is
put it. You don't want to put it in the front yard.
No.
You want to put it where, at the front of your building, like lined up with the front of your porch.
That's right,
To the back.
that's right. Now,
just on that one side.
just on that one side,
But
I-
you realize that won't block the camera.
right.
Yeah.
Now, to my understanding, the fence has to be 4 feet high from the sidewalk to my home, to my house. Now, we have a full length front porch on our home. And I'm requesting the fence to extend to the front of the porch because there's still adequate room for anybody that's coming out of the driveways to be able to see oncoming traffic or foot traffic. Okay? That has to be from the sidewalk to my front porch, 4 feet high only. But I don't see any reason why the fence could not begin at my front porch at 8 feet because that will not obstruct the view of any foot traffic or vehicles that might be
So, Mr. Stokes, are you asking for fencing to go from the sidewalk to the front of your house
to
at 4 feet?
4 feet from the sidewalk to the front of my front porch.
Can you-
Right.
Maurice, can you go back to the other picture that shows the house view, please? So where your hedges are,
That's the beginning of the front of, behind the hedges.
okay, so where the columns are for your porch is where you're asking
Yes, ma'am.
to start the 8-foot fence and run it back. But
Right,
in the
ma'am.
front of the columns, you want to put a 4-foot fence.
That's right, because that's what the law states. The reason that I'm requesting the 8-foot fence from the beginning of the front of my porch, my wife and I, have hopes that might block the camera from being able to look into our dining room windows and our kitchen windows.
Right.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
to the appellant, is the fence in the front portion going to be open? Is it a chain link or
No, it's a wooden fence.
or an ornamental? So that, Madam Chair, it must be something that the board, or that, I'm not sure if Building and Housing had that information, so that actually triggers another variance issue.
Right.
As it's, solid fences are not
Yeah.
permitted in the front yard.
Madam Chair, yeah, it doesn't appear that that was
So that's
actually,
not actually the front yard.
The
I
porch-
don't believe the front yard would be from the front of my porch to the sidewalk. That's where the grass is in my yard.
Yeah,
the application does not seem to, and, also include the 4-foot high fence. I think, because they're only written up for.
For the 8-foot high.
And if you read it, it's in the rear yard and in the side yard. So I'm not
Right.
sure if that was asked for in the permit application, because I don't have that with me. Maybe Ms. Kukla has it. Does it state in the permit application?
Madam Chair, to Mr. Mullins, the site plan does show a 4-foot fence proposed.
I wasn't sure if that was existing, because there is an existing 4-foot fence.
Okay.
But that's
But that's on their property,
Yes.
the neighbors.
correct.
And they weren't written up for that. So
Okay.
I guess it would be to Mr. Riccardi if it was just that for some reason,
Well, again, if they would need a variance for that, that's not before
Right.
us, so we're
It's
in the
not
same.
before us
that's my
situation.
point.
as the
Okay,
previous one.
Well, may I say something? I'm willing to nip that in the bud. And I'd like to have the 4-foot fence to the beginning of my house, not the porch. And at that point, I'd like to put up a 6-foot fence and forget about the 8-foot fence, but I want to run that 6-foot fence to the
Well,
beginning
you
of.
can't change what we're ruling on today,
Well,
so.
okay, but that's what I originally requested. The 4-foot, 6-foot, and at the beginning of their garage, the 8-foot, all the way to the back of my property.
So that's not what do we actually have written up for?
Madam Chair, Mr.
Yeah.
Riccardi does have his hand raised.
Okay, Mr. Riccardi?
The reason that the 4-foot high wood fence was not also added to the notice of nonconformance is that because the applicant did not put the driveway, the neighbor's driveway in his plan. Had he put the neighbor's driveway in the plan and then that fence would have been cited because all portions of a fence running parallel to a driveway within 15 feet of its intersection with the sidewalk must be 75% open.
Okay,
That's why that wasn't listed.
okay, so where can I start my fence at? The wooden fence?
So, Madam Chair, I would say that from the city planning staff does not have any problem with an 8-foot fence from the front of his house, the front of the porch,
The front of the porch
to the back.
to the back.
No problem with the 8-foot fence there.
Right.
I understand we have some very unique issues going on here.
Yes.
It's also to the back of the other people's properties, so
Yes.
it's really doesn't have that much of a negative effect.
Right,
Normally, as you know, we don't like to approve 8-foot residential fences.
right.
But we may have a unique case here. As far as the front, they're asking for the 4-foot, and like Mr. Riccardi now just cleared this up because the driveway is not on there. As you know, we don't approve fences that inhibit a person's ability to pull out and not see the pedestrians walking by. And that's why you have to have a 50% open fence close to the driveway. It's a security thing for say a little child or something is walking down the street and you're backing out of that driveway, there's a 4-foot fence, you can't see that there's
Well, I
a little child.
I
And
completely
so that's
understand.
totally a safety issue. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why that's in place.
May I say something, interrupt? Bud?
Absolutely,
And I apologize. for
no
that.
problem.
Well, as far as my neighbor's driveway is concerned, their driveway is,
It's on West 140th, I think.
right, their driveway begins, they enter into their driveway off of 140th, all the way up to the front of their garage. The front of their garage is facing the back of their house. Their driveway is not like our driveway is because they do not live on our street. They live on 140th, you see. But whatever you suggested I do, I'm willing to accept that. So.
Maurice, though, there is a curb cut and, I mean, though they might not use that driveway, it's technically
They could.
Still a driveway.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. So
At this point,
that should be left open, the chain link fence from the sidewalk to my porch.
So, Madam Chair, I have up on the screen a more accurate view of, it's an older view, but as you can see, they have the neighbors have their trash there. And I remember seeing it, let me see if I can find an aerial for you, because I do remember seeing exactly what the gentleman is talking about.
This is. Yes. I'm just not seeing where they would access it from there. No, it's too wooded.
yeah,
Yeah, I know that I saw this. I just can't remember.
Maureen?
which-
There's the garage.
Yes,
Excuse me, Madam Chair, we can't
Yes.
see what Maurice is showing you. At least I can't.
Okay.
Oh,
hold on,
I
let me,
just have the static 4 pictures.
As
Right.
do I.
okay, so.
Okay.
hold on,
Here's-
That's all that we
here's
have on the
garage
screen
in the
right
back.
now
So
as
there's
well. We
this
have
Okay.
to show
There
that.
you
Thank
go.
you. Got it.
Garage back here, and then technically they could, even their garage is facing the other way though, so they're not.
so that's 140th Street in front of you. The blue house is the people that we're talking about. And their driveway is accessed off of 140th. I
Right.
don't know. I suspect that at one point on the corner may have been another house that was demolished.
Yeah.
And they bought that lot.
And they bought that lot, and the driveway that you see is the driveway up there, and there is a curb cut. It doesn't appear to me that that is actually a usable driveway.
Right.
And
They
you
do,
are correct.
they do own the adjoining property.
So that, I just wanna make sure because it is confusing, even looking at the Google Maps. So their house, all that area that is fenced in with a chain link fence, that's just their yard and their garage.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And
they,
I'm sorry, he no longer puts his trash there for whatever reason. He uses 140th now.
They-
so the house, their house faces 140th. The
Yes.
garage faces 140th, which we can see. The tree where they have the camera is literally a tree behind their garage.
Which one?
Um,
I mean, I think that the camera's up in here somewhere,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Right, the camera's up in
behind
there.
the tree. It's only 10 feet from my front porch.
Okay, so it's in here somewhere.
That's right. I can, want me to get up and show you? I can see
Sure,
it, right?
yeah, sure.
Oh, you guys go back.
Which way you want me to go?
So it is right
There.
Okay.
Okay. Right there.
So it's not as if the camera is monitoring their house or any of their, it just literally,
That's what a normal situation would be, for most people, but no. He made it a point to point that camera right at our front door, front living room, under our porch, to invade our privacy, as much as he possibly could.
Now, I might point out that that image was taken according to Google in 2019, so it is, 4 years old.
right, right. But that's not gonna change. I mean, I'm looking at one that I think is a little newer. No, it's 2019 as well. Still, they still have a curb cut and technically a driveway there. So I don't know
Right.
how that works for Ms. Riccardi could weigh in. If
Right.
it's not a driveway that is being used as a driveway, does the 4-foot requirement in the code still apply because it could be used as a driveway?
Well, may I answer this?
Well, I
One
actually.
second,
Oh,
one second,
I
Mr. Stokes.
apologize.
Ms. Riccardi, did you hear that question?
Yes, that lot is separately owned. It has not become joined with 3953 West 140th. It is a separate lot. And that's the driveway for that lot, even though it is vacant now.
Okay, so they
Uh,
didn't,
Curb cut,
so
that's
they,
the driveway.
all right.
So they just
mean,
own both lots but one is a separate lot that probably had a house on it at some point that was demolished. So if we were, so what I think you're saying, Mr. Riccardi, is that the 4-foot opaque fencing requirements would still apply because that's technically
Still an active lot.
still an active driveway and lot.
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, well, we were hoping that wasn't
I
gonna be
know.
the case.
Well,
Madam Chair, it may be
Yeah.
irrelevant, the applicant did say he's fine with not erecting the fence in the front yard, I'm not sure if you heard him say that.
Yeah, no,
Kind of
we
off the
did.
table.
No, but that's,
We're just kind of trying to,
fine.
yeah.
I think we're mentally trying to process what we can.
Well, first we were trying to figure out what was going on with the adjoining properties.
Yeah.
So now that we've cleared that up,
Now we've cleared that up.
okay.
So I think,
So what is before us today
right,
is your request for an 8-foot tall fence
Yes, ma'am.
from the beginning of your house.
I thought I was.
Porch.
I'm
The
sorry,
front
I'm sorry,
porch.
the beginning of the front porch where the columns are to the back of your property line.
Right, only on this side. of
Only
the
on
home
one side.
because actually
Right,
nothing
right.
there.
And what side is that? Is that
The
north?
west side.
That's the west side.
Yes, ma'am.
So the west side, from the frontmost part of the house, which is the porch, to the rear
The end
yard
of-
corner.
Right.
Yes.
End of my property.
Okay,
in the back
all right.
yard.
So are you crafting the motion?
Yeah.
All right. So west property line from the frontmost part of the house, which is the front porch, to the back of the lot, on that side of the lot only. And you want board on board,
Yes, ma'am.
okay?
It's just a wooden fence.
Is the wooden, on the top right photo that we're looking at there, is that your fence on that side?
Right. And
Okay,
I'd like to, speak on that. I'm just a person that, and I do apologize for being ignorant of the law. I didn't know that I had to get a building permit to install, put a fence up in my house. But I was made aware of that fact, and I do apologize for that. I had that fence erected, it's 6 feet tall. And I had the fence to go from my driveway over to my neighbor's house because my neighbor gave me permission to do so. I didn't know I was breaking any city ordinances.
right,
So once we found out that we were in violation, I had said that I would not make that short extension from the driveway to my neighbor's house permanent. I would remove that and install a fence so that they would have access 360 degrees around their home. So that's what the situation was with that fence.
When you first,
And again, I apologize for my ignorance of the law.
that was when you first started out and you said you didn't know what was going on.
The violation.
That's the thing. But we were told that it was suggested to add that into this building
I did.
permit. And that we were charged like a fee because we didn't know. So she's gonna waive that once this is all done.
Okay.
And I did add that into the drawing that I had to submit.
right, okay. Oh, I see it's highlighted here.
But that wasn't,
Oh.
I don't think that was written up either.
I
So,
think so.
No,
Madam Chair, a 6-foot tall fence is permitted in the side yard except for where it runs parallel to the neighbor's house. If it is not 6 feet from the neighbor's house, then the fence has to be reduced down to whatever distance that is. Does that make sense? It has to be the same distance from the house as it is tall.
right,
And the other issue with it being attached to the neighbor's house, going across the property line, would probably have been cited to in some way. But there is something on the site plan that does show a 6-foot tall fence on that side.
right. Do you have anything in writing from the neighbor?
No, I don't, but
Rick would be happy to write something.
he would be
Okay.
I still
happy
can't
to
rule on
hear-
something that's not before us.
Exactly,
So
right.
I don't know.
I'm just
why
trying
we're-
to see
yeah.
if we can,
I know, I'm all about saving these people time.
Yeah,
And effort.
and money.
And money, but the reality is that we.
Okay.
Can only do what we can do.
all right. So,
Madam Chair, I can't tell from the site plan, does the fence end at the back of the neighbor's house, or does it run parallel at all to the neighbor's?
Back of his house.
Oh, okay, so they wouldn't need a variance for that, just that portion that goes across the property line.
okay,
They would,
All right,
the
so
neighbor would have to get a permit for that part.
all right. So do what you need to do to get that taken care of. So we can,
Now, did the appellant say that he is going to take that down, or he said he was gonna do something else with it? Gate, did you say? Did you
Yeah,
mean to say
yeah.
put a gate in there?
I was
Sure.
going to have a gate installed so that they would have access to walk around their home.
Okay.
60 degrees
Right.
in case
All right.
of an emergency or something like that.
So so Madam Chair, I think that they can work with the neighbors
yeah,
And we have new neighbors now.
to get, just to get a permit on record for
Yeah,
that.
let's-
Otherwise, they'll be cited because
yeah,
it's clear that it doesn't belong to the neighbors because of the unfinished side of the fence facing,
Correct.
because they
Yeah.
put the fence in properly, the appellants did. They put it in properly so the
Right.
unfinished side is on their own property, so you can tell that it's theirs.
So if you get something in writing from that neighbor and you convert that panel, you could probably just frame that and hinge it and
Yes,
turn it into a gate,
yes, ma'am.
and then that'll get taken care of.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Absolutely.
so we got that off.
Madam Chair, I would just say that we don't want to make that part of our motion.
Correct.
Because it's on the neighbor's property, and they just
Right.
need to work out something between
Yeah.
themselves to get a permit for that other
Yes,
section.
I will. I
Got
most
that?
certainly will.
You
Okay,
have to let the city know, I mean, you do have to get a permit for it, or the neighbor does, excuse me.
The neighbor has to get.
I think it's the neighbor's property, right?
Yes, Madam Chair, it has to be in the neighbor's name for it to apply to that. It has to be
that,
specific to
since
that
it's their
address.
property.
Right, right.
So
So,
I can't just get a letter in writing from him that he would allow me to do that?
Madam Chair, I think that the applicant can walk the permit application through. He could work with building and housing. so
Right.
You don't have to inconvenience your neighbor. You could kind of submit that as a separate permit.
I can submit it.
Yeah, I think,
Thank you.
and you get that, that's when you can get that letter saying you can
Okay.
Yeah, you
act on their
can,
behalf.
you can act on their behalf
Okay.
and that they're giving you permission to do that.
But first I need the letter from him stating
Correct.
that.
Right,
Because I don't want to start off on the wrong foot with my new neighbor.
exactly, right,
you know?
okay. So I
So-
think we got that taken care of.
And just for the record, you wouldn't have to submit that to us. That would be when you go to apply at building and health.
Okay.
Take that letter. with
Because
you.
you're gonna have to get a permit for this other fence anyway, should,
Okay, so
we
get
approve
the
it.
letter from my neighbor and then come down and apply for a building permit?
correct,
Okay.
all right?
Okay.
So
You're
that
gonna have to
takes,
get a building permit for the fence, the 8-foot fence too.
That's
Oh.
what we're doing.
That's why we're here.
yeah, that's why we're here,
Oh, okay.
okay?
All right.
So, but, since you've got that other piece of fencing up, and we can tell by the way it was installed that it's yours,
Yes.
you know? So that takes care of that,
All right.
because we want to try and get you all buttoned up here,
Thank you.
even though that's not what's before us today.
Thank you. 'Cause it's
Okay.
been a struggle.
Okay,
And then I just have one question for Mr. Riccardi, if he's still on, I can't see anymore. With respect to the landscaping that is now onto their property, is that a code enforcement issue that they can be cited for? Or is that just a property dispute between the two neighbors?
The zoning code does not, or even the property maintenance code doesn't deal with private vegetation
Okay,
onto other properties. This has come up before.
yeah,
It's
so,
it's a whole process determining the damage and the roots and getting an arborist. Some cities have taken it on, but the city of Cleveland does not regulate it.
okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that, because that has been an ongoing question in my mind for a while. So you have sounds like you have a dispute that you need to work with your lawyer on with regard to the tree, if it's causing damage to your roof or your house in any way. And given what we can see from the picture, it's substantially over your home.
Yes.
So that's for you to work out with your attorney.
Yes, I'm gonna have to, when I'm able to, hire an attorney and, I've already paid someone to cut those trees off of my house out of my pocket. Okay? But I have one tree that's in that, picture at the bottom. that has pushed the chain link fence out. And it's, if I could put one hand on the tree and other hand on my house, it's that close to my foundation. And I'm sure that it's putting pressure on my foundation and possibly already has done damage. I'm gonna have to sue them to try to remove that one tree because they have many trees.
Well, it might
Right.
become a problem with your new fence too. That's why I'm also bringing it
Exactly.
up. Because, you know, you don't have a fence there now. Once you put a fence up, you're still, there could be trees in those trees might be in the way. I mean, I don't know how you're gonna have to figure that out.
Well, not because I have to put the fence up at least 1 foot away from their fence.
Yes.
And so, before that tree can grow that distance, that width, I will address that issue to try to have that tree removed. So it won't damage, the fence.
Okay.
But thank you for that.
Yeah, just wanna,
Yes.
let you know that if you are approved for this fence, you're still gonna have to deal with the tree.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
And I know I have, a lot of sympathy for you all. It sounds like you're in a very challenging, difficult situation with an adjoining property owner. So we understand and we're sorry that you're having to deal with this.
May I say this? This whole situation was totally unnecessary because my wife and I will be the best neighbors that you could ever want, okay? In any dilemma that you might have, we're gonna help, to the best of our ability. We could have been the best of neighbors, and I'm so sad that it had to be this way.
It is an unfortunate situation, Mr. Stokes.
Madam Chair?
And yes, ma'am.
I also would like to suggest or ask Mr. and Mrs. Stokes if they have reached out to the councilman and perhaps the Community Relations Board of the city of Cleveland for
Right.
assistance.
Ma'am, when I heard you say my councilman, my eyes that were halfway closed opened all the way up. Because I came to find out that my councilman and this individuals are friends.
That's
And the way that I found out was that I was going to erect the fence, like I said, because I was ignorant of the law. And so I had my workers out there just getting started to put the fence up. And my neighbor came out there harassing my workers. And I politely told him, why don't you just go back in your little house because no one out here wants to see you. And he went back in the house and 20 minutes later, Councilman Casey on a Sunday afternoon was knocking at my front door. And I was just astonished. Who does that on a Sunday, 20 minutes after I have a few words with them? So that's when I found out they were close associates.
No.
And yes, I have contacted the community relations, and they tried to do everything they could for us, but it was to no avail.
You contacted the
sorry about
city's
that. Thank
community
you.
relations?
Yes.
Sorry,
she-
Ms. Brown.
She was so nice. She did everything she could to help us with this situation.
You talked with Tammy Hannah?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Tammy's very nice.
Such a nice person.
okay.
I do have to say one thing. When we first moved into our home, that seems like that same night, the neighbors claimed they had a break-in.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow, some way, whoever broke in their home climbed over the fence.
Over
So there's
our
footprints.
fence.
So there's
Their fence.
footprints in the snow. They called the detectives. The detectives come over to our home. We explained we just moved in. We talked to Micah, and I forgot his wife's name, Panera, and she's pretending to cry. And we're feeling like they're blaming us because they're like, we never had this issue before, and the footprints lead into your yard. We had nothing to do with that.
Didn't they say something to the effect that we might have had something to do with that?
They kind of lightweight accused us, but we had nothing to do with that. So we put lights up and then they complain, oh, you are well lit up. They complain about the lighting. We thought that was safer to just have lights on the garage and on the side of the house to protect just in case there was some break-ins happening. So it's just been an issue from the beginning, and Casey was involved with that as well. They called him soon as the break-in apparently occurred, and he's right over there with them. So they're really good friends. We don't stand a chance. But Casey is supposed to represent all of us, not just them.
Councilman Casey is the one that told me, stopped me and told me I had to go and get a building permit.
Which was good.
And, but he told me I had to put the fence up 2 feet from their fence.
Maurice,
Yes, ma'am.
exactly what is their setback requirement for this fence?
That would be, again, Rick Riccardi question.
Okay.
I don't know that there is one, actually.
Oh, the paperwork that the city sent me was 1 foot.
Okay, Mr. Riccardi, are you still with us?
Yes,
Okay, so I just want to clarify the setback off the lot line for them for this. And also, are you able to verify if the trees are protruding over their lot line? Do you know if they can clear those limbs in the airspace that's over their lot line?
regarding the setback, you can put a fence right on your property line.
Thank you.
And regarding the limbs, the zoning code is silent on that.
All right, thank you. All right, so Mr. Stokes,
Yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Riccardi just testified that the fence can go on the lot line.
Yes, ma'am.
My suggestion would be
Yes.
that you have the surveyors, if you've had it staked and pinned, I would have them come out and stake the lot line at least probably every 20 feet, every 10 feet, so that the stakes, the flag stakes are evident, and you take pictures of those.
You don't want to get in a dispute over your property line
Right,
versus theirs.
That is correct.
okay?
Yes, but as I stated, when we purchased the home, they had the property line was established at that time.
Right, I'm sure that it was, but before you put the fence up,
Just do it again.
have it staked. So they'll put stakes, and I personally would suggest you do a stake every 10 feet.
Yeah, okay.
Because the lot line can vary a little bit sometimes.
Okay,
So it may be on an angle, so if you have them stake it every 10 feet, the stakes will be flagged, which means there'll be, a tape on them. And you take photographs of that, okay?
And this hearing is being recorded, so if you can refer back to it on YouTube if you.
okay. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Yeah, this is live. And Mr. Riccardi just testified that you can put the fence on the lot line.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Picardi.
Yes.
All right? Okay,
All right,
I think we're ready.
Thank you all.
Yes.
all right. Based on the testimony that we've heard from the appellants today, all of the documents that have been entered into the record, along with the drawings and the extensive conversation about the adjoining neighbor's property, I move that we approve the variance in calendar number 23-176, which would allow for a board-on-board wood fence on the property line on the west side of the appellant's property from the front of their property, the porch, to the rear yard corner, and that fence be 8 feet tall on one side only.
So much.
Could I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Brown.
you.
Thank you,
Ms.
Ms. Brown.
Kukla?
Ms. Olzer? I'm sorry, yes, Ms. Olzer. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Roca?
Yes.
Ms. Fahey?
Yes.
Calendar number 23-176 is granted. It'll be ratified next Monday. We will send you a letter, but please feel free to contact our office on Wednesday to pick up your application and move forward if it's ready, so give us a call.
Very
I,
well.
I would like to take this time to thank each and every last
Yes.
one of you for helping my wife and I in this dilemma that we've been living through.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
You're
At some
welcome.
point, will we get this back or no?
We need to keep them.
No,
Yeah.
at some point.
Would you, no, we have to keep them permanently for the record.
Okay, not a problem.
All right,
You
so
can
are
take
you,
pictures of them?
No.
Are
I
you
like
able to
my Bob
reprint them?
Marley, But that's
Oh,
okay.
We don't need the board.
oh,
We
we
can
don't,
take the,
we don't need the
it's-
board, hon. We
No,
just
no,
need,
no,
Are you sure?
yeah, we just
Yeah.
need the
Can't say
pictures.
we'll take, we'll.
Because I saw that Bob was on the backside of that, so,
We have a little more business.
Right.
yeah, okay. All right, that concludes our cases for today, folks. So we'll go to old business. We have numbers 2, 3, and 4. Without objection, board?
Without objection.
Without objection.
No objection.
Thank you. And anything else, Ms. Kukla?
No,
I'm seeing nothing on here.
no.
All right, does anybody have anything else?
Oh, rip the picture.
Is everyone gonna be present next week?
Next week.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, great. Anyone, Ms. Brown, will you be back in person?
It's my plan.
All right, excellent. Hope the car gets fixed. All right,
you.
that concludes today. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Last one.